Alright, and welcome to another Our Service Tech video. My name is Doug, and I'd like to thank you in advance for watching my video. I had searched around many places on YouTube looking for someone that had actually tore down one of these Honda Magna V30, the VF500c carburetor stack, and a lot of videos on how to remove them and so forth, but not a lot on how to go about actually cleaning them or any kind of a procedure. There is a manual that you can find from Climber. These are pretty good manuals. Climber manuals are pretty good. Some things that are tough they recommend you take to a dealer, but I'm not going to do that. The page that we're concerned with today is going to be this section right here, and I'll be repeating different steps throughout the manual on how to do these things. The carburetors are numbered 1 through 4 pertaining to each cylinder. They say that starting with the left hand side here, this is carburetor 1 down here on the rear, and then 2 on the front, 3 on the right hand rear, and 4 on the right hand front. So again, the motorcycle will be facing this direction. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's very important because most of the parts are, well, similar, are not interchangeable. So they recommend in the Climber manual that you only do one carburetor at a time. Sorry, the sun's shining on this. Anyway, one carburetor at a time for the cleaning operation on this here. So I'll switch page here and we'll take a look at the breakdown of the carburetor. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this is how the carburetor is broke down over here. Hopefully maybe you can get a screenshot of that and can print it out in paint or something. So list of the components, and now we'll basically start to tear it down. So again, can't stress enough that in the Climber manual they show this as being the cylinder configuration 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is how the stack sets in the bike, and that would make this carburetor 1, this one 2, this one 3, and this one 4. And it probably wouldn't hurt to go through and label them if you're going to do a complete tear down and separate the carburetors. But in the manual it says that there's no reason to remove this air housing here. So we'll go ahead and turn this over and find some tools. Alright, just for extra good measure, I'm going to go ahead and mark some dots on here rather than draw numbers. I'm going to put 1 here for carburetor 1, and then 1, 2, 3 dots carburetor 3, 1, 2 for 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4 carburetor 4. And we'll flip it up now where we can kind of see what's going on over here. Now they recommend that you disassemble in this section here first. We're going to start with carburetor 1 and pull this apart and clean all the spring work and everything out of here first. Alright, and various hand tools that you're going to need, needle nose pliers, flat, Phillips, some teeny weeny screwdrivers, dig around and stuff, stubby to get maximum torque, 10, 8, 9, 7 different millimeter wrenches, and a flashlight. Sometimes you might need a little extra light on something to see what's going on with it. Alright, so we'll shove all them out of the way, and we'll start by pulling this top portion off here. And as you can see, somebody looks like they've already started on it. That's probably me. And this one's tucked way back up under here. In fact, it's at a weird angle too, so we have to go something a little longer. The last screw here, and the spring goes in here with it. So the spring goes in, top goes on, reverse order. Very delicate piece of rubber there. And as you can see, maybe I'm going to take a 10mm socket and put down inside of this here in order to pull these pieces out of here, inside of here, and clean them up. So we'll work work on that next. Alright, I think I said earlier that you use a 10mm socket. You don't. It's actually an 8mm socket to pull this. And it says to turn it 60 degrees to unlock it. So we've done that. I don't know if you can see it or not. But anyway, that just goes down in there and makes a little capture thing on it. Alright, so spring little plastic keeper sits down the side of that chamber, and this holds that down in there like that. So we're going to clean this needle valve up. Clean this needle valve up real well. And again, these parts fit down inside of the vacuum chamber here. Needle valve goes in the hole down there in the bottom. And then this piece goes down in there like this. And then you turn it all sideways to capture the plastic tabs with these keepers sticking out, tangs sticking out from the end here, inside of it. Now we're going to flip this over and pull the bowl off. Alright, so we'll remove the bowl. Again, we're going to keep working on the one cylinder, or excuse me, the one carburetor. Let me set these back down here. And as you can see, it's kind of caught up in the midst of all of this. Alright, I'm going to see if this is repeatable here. You just barely turn this sideways here. That sort of fits right out from underneath there like that. So it's got to go kind of at an angle in there, and then sets back down there. So we're going to keep these bowl parts separate, and the diaphragm vacuum chamber parts separate here. And now we'll remove the float. But I thought it'd be best to take a look at this bowl on this thing. It's you can probably see, maybe you can see, got a lot of rust in it. Pretty messy. And then of course the gasket on it here is just completely disintegrated. Apparently these carburetors are notorious for leaking from this gasket here, and if you do nothing else, probably you would have to replace at least this gasket here. There's some places on eBay, of course you got to be careful with eBay. Just because they say it works doesn't necessarily mean it will. I bought a whole carburetor stack. I don't want to get into it, but it leaked really bad around these here. So this is the original carburetor I bought with a bike, and the guy I bought it from said that it was leaking out of the bowls. So now we can kind of see why. So I'm going to have to peel all of that out of there, and got to remove this pin here in order to get the float out. But the bottom line is we're going to take all these parts out of here and try to clean out as much gunk that's in there as we can. As you can see, there's probably a lot of rust on the inside of this carburetor in different places. So we'll take another shot of it when I get it all apart. Okay, one of the things I neglected to mention was that if you can get you a nice big pan like this, that you can fit the entire carburetor down and let it kind of soak in this here for a few hours. It helps out a bunch. And then also I'll use these little painter pans here to stick the various parts in, like this carburetor bowl. I'll probably take it outside because it's cold and I've got heat running in here. So to avoid any explosions, I'm going to put a little bit of stuff in here, get a brush, and brush all this out, and then that should make this gasket come off a lot easier also. And then we'll come back and clean all this mess up here. Alright, got that initially soaking there, and I'm going to have to take a teeny weeny screwdriver and dig all of that crud out of there. And I've got gasket kit on the way, and it'll come with all new jets and everything else that we'll put back in here all brand new, and hopefully that'll fix problems. So now let's go ahead and I'll zoom in here. I'll zoom in here on this float bowl pin. Float pin. Where? And again, you can take your teeny weeny screwdriver and just pop that right out of there. Like like thusly. And you got to be careful with the needle as it comes out, that you don't lose all of these. Extremely easy to lose parts like this in here. And again, I've got a kit coming. This will have the new needle valves and stuff in it. So we'll set that down out of the way. Alright, now I'll remove the main jet, the jet holder, which is this piece down around here, and the slow jet over here. And we'll clean all that up as well. Alright, main jet. Yeah, maybe I should zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. These are stuck in there pretty hard, so you got to have a pretty good size flat blade. Crack these loose here. And this is the main jet. And this is the slow jet. And again, they're stuck in there pretty hard. So they are filled with gunk. Alright. So here we have our main jet and the slow jet. And we're going to pull out the jet holder here. Main jet holder. And as you can see, it's a 7mm wrench. That turned fairly easily. Alright. So again, just to kind of keep track, I'm going to put this back in here. And that's the whole teardown right there. And so we'll spray all this out, clean that all up real good, clean these all up, brush them out, dig all the junk out of them, all that kind of stuff. And you can see this corrosion that occurs on here. From what I understand, I've been told, that's alcohol fuel. Ethanol causes that. So if you're having a lot of trouble with your VF500c carburetors, you probably want to start using ethanol free fuel. That's probably actually just bad gas. Alright, the main thing you gotta look out for on these bowls is all the crud that builds up around the edges of them. And so you can see the little bits and pieces of junk right along these edges here. And it'll all have to be picked out, because if you don't get it all picked out of there, it'll cause it to leak. You gotta go all the way down through all of that and pick all that junk out of there. Here's what a bad gasket looks like. It's all nasty and smashed. Looks like it's been on fire or something. It's all melted around the edges. They have two different kinds. You can get a round O-ring that'll actually fit down in the grooves in this here, and you can also get the pre-form. The pre-form seems to be a little more expensive. In fact, quite a bit more expensive, but it usually comes with all these needle valves and jets and springs. So I've got to clean up the bowl.